Welcome back to the Link by Golf podcast. I'm your host, Ross McGuire. On this week's episode, I'm truly delighted to be joined by Donald McKay. Donald is one of the stars of the Talk Golf Scotland podcast. He's got some great stories to share, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the show. So without further delay, let's hear from Donald. Welcome to the podcast this week, Donald McKay. Donald, really nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
No problem. A pleasure, Ross. A pleasure.
And the way the podcast starts, Donald, done the same thing with everybody. So pretty much, where are you from and how did you get into golf? How did it all start?
Well, I'm from Kilmarnock originally. I was in Kilmarnock all my life up to the age of 21. And to start off with, I was very much into football,
Right.
as opposed to golf. In my younger years, I played a lot of football up to sort of under 15 level. But my father played golf. He was a member at Brassy, and he got me a junior membership at Brassy when I was probably about 11, 12 or something like that. And I kind of dabbled a wee bit in it. But as I say, my first passion was football. So I played a lot of football up to under 14s.
Right.
And then get into golf. I played at Annan Hill. My house was fortunately only about 5 minutes away from Annan Hill Golf Course, one of the municipal golf courses in Kilmarnock. So I could wander around there with my pals any time in the summer holidays, and you play a couple of times a day. And then as we got a wee bit older, I met a few pals that were members at Brassy, and I was a junior member there. And we could then get the bus down to Brassy or get lifts down to Brassy, and we would spend our summer holidays down there. Like a lot of juniors at the time, you would go down there first thing in the morning, and you'd be there to dark o'clock, really, getting your sausage rolls for your lunch and stuff like that, and annoying the pro in the pro shop, and doing putting competitions, all that sort of thing, 14,
Brilliant.
15, 16. And
That's awesome.
that was great fun, and you made pals for life through it as well. I've still got pals in Kilmarnock, that I grew up with playing golf, so still see them from time to time. So yeah,
That's really nice.
It's a great sport to get into, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you notice that you were maybe getting on beyond your peers in terms of playing ability, and when did that start changing in your youth?
I still haven't noticed that yet.
Don't be so bashful, Donald.
We had some good players at Brassy. Obviously, Jim Milligan, who was a bit older. Jim was a Walker Cup player and a local hero. But more guys of my age. Alistair Watt was a couple of years younger at the Scottish Boys Cup. And then the year, just a year older, we had Andy McQueen and Fraser McCulloch, who both played out at Coon Welbeck at the time, but were members at Brassy as well. And they got to the Scottish Boys final and played against each other, two good pals. So they were the kind of the guys that we looked up to at the time.
Yeah.
But as I say, I didn't really get into the golf until sort of 15, and I was probably, I think my first handicap then at sort of 14, 15 was 29.
Right.
And I turned pro at 18. I'd got myself down to 4 pretty quickly just through playing golf. And really had no aspirations of being a great golfer, but just being involved at the golf club. I was junior captain at one point.
Right.
And do you know what it was like back in the day? You were in and you got pally with assistant pros and stuff like that, and thought, this is maybe no a bad way of living, but I wasn't thinking of playing at all or anything like that. But thinking, could maybe be a club pro. And got into it that way. I used to caddy for the pro there, Bill Lockett. I caddied for Bill a wee bit, and probably learned an awful lot from caddying for Bill. Bill was a very, very good player. Still is a very good player. In fact, I played with him about a month or so ago. Bill's 72 now. He's a member at Royal Troon now.
Nice.
So I was down in a game with Bill there. He's still playing off 2 round Troon, so he's still quite handy as a golfer.
That's unreal.
But I learned a lot from caddying from Bill and all the different shots, because golf was much more a shot maker's game back in the day. So I learned a lot from caddying for Bill, and as I say, he was my inspiration then, I would guess, I suppose, to want to try and play a wee bit. And actually, I turned pro, as I say, at 18. I worked for a wee while in the pro shop at West Kilbride for Gregor Howie. He was my first boss, and then turned pro in January 1986, I think that was. Something like that, way back in the day.
World Cup year.
World Cup year, I suppose it was. I can't remember much about that. Less said about that, the better, really, with Scotland at World Cups, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I was at the age at that time and I thought Scotland could actually win it. So.
Well, I can remember 78. The World Cup 78 was the first World Cup I can really remember. I was 9 years old then, but that was Ali's Tartan Army, and that was when we really thought we could win it.
I know.
We've been disappointed ever since.
Yeah. So then you're working the pro shop. So how long were you down at
West Kilbride
there? Oh, sorry, West Kilbride.
So Brasty was just my junior years, and went to work for Gregor at 17. Started in August, must have been 85 then. No, maybe in August 86, and I turned pro January 87. So I worked with Gregor till 1990, and then I went to Ladybank. I went to become the teaching pro at Ladybank under Martin Gray.
Wow.
And I worked with Martin for 7 years.
Brilliant.
1990 to 97, although Wellsgreen opened in 1995.
Right.
And I started working here. I started teaching here in 1995, and I still done a couple of days at Ladybank until 97. And then decided my golf had progressed a wee bit by then, decided I would try and play a wee bit as well. So that's when I left Ladybank and started to try and play a wee bit.
And so were you sort of playing occasional pro-ams before that, just when you had time, when you were
playing assistance events and stuff like that. There was an awful lot more golf in the Tartan Tour in these days.
I know, there was loads.
And these days you had the obviously the European Tour. That was the kind of start of the Challenge Tour round about sort of these days, and then Tartan Tour was the next strongest tour, and had had countless pro-ams in these days, 60 pro-ams and a lot of tournaments.
It used to be virtually every day in the summer, didn't it?
That's right, you could have 5 a week quite easily. So I played in most of the assistance events then, reasonable success, nothing major at all, but could compete, and then decided I would try and play a wee bit.
Yeah.
And that's when, as I say, I left Ladybank and came to the range and was teaching pretty much all the time, but playing a wee bit, so mixing my time between the two of them.
And you must have played with some really good players at that time, coming through and seen a few going past as well.
Yeah. There was a lot of good players in these days. Guys that have went on to the tour. I played with Paul Lawrie quite often. And assistance events, because Peter Lloyd, who sadly passed away, was our regional secretary at the time. Peter was quite famous for doing alphabetical draws. So, obviously everybody, you hear about draws and that. There's never any draws as such. Right? So I played with Paul a lot because Paul's L, obviously, and then I'm M. And then when past assistants, I'd seem to be drawing with Fraser Mann and Brian Marchbank all the time as well, funnily enough. But again, 2 letter M's. So the good players kind of get drawn together at times, and then it was alphabetical and other ones. But it was all good fun. But Paul, back in the day, Paul wasn't a superstar then, but that was him when he was just starting. But he outworked everybody else. We come off the golf course and go for a pint, and Paul was out there practicing. So it's funny that he made a success of it, isn't it?
I was going to say, what was it that sort of stood out from him? But it sounds like it's his work ethic and just determination to be successful.
Without a doubt. I mean, he was a good player as well, but he outworked everybody.
And I think he turned pro off the same handicap as you, right? Was he not 4 or 5 when he turned?
And then worked at Bankery,
yeah. Because back in certainly my youth, you would have people saying you need to be X handicap, blah 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 blah, and the reality is you just need to keep getting better all the time, and it doesn't come. It's not a straight line, and I'm sure you see that in your coaching, right? It's it's not about somebody suddenly jumping from being at one level right to the other. They basically kind of go back, go forward, and up and down all over the place.
Yeah, there's a natural progression, but the standard is much higher now than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 you could turn pro, but as I say, no way in this day and age, 4 you ever think you're going to make a penny playing golf.
No, especially not with the new handicap system, which I know you guys like to talk about.
you need to be +7 before you can make any money playing golf. Yeah, I mean, back when I was an amateur, scratch was a real good golfer.
Yeah.
But every man is dug scratch these days.
Because back then, in terms of scratch, I'm sure you had to score something like 11 scores out of 12 to scratch for 12 rounds.
You had
something
to be
like that, wasn't it?
11, 12 scores a year, and nobody was plus. You had to be awarded plus. I'm pretty sure back in the day from the Scottish Golf Union. Yeah, I might be talking nonsense then. I'm quite well known for that, but but yeah, I'm pretty sure you had to be awarded plus. And then the new handicap system come in when you went up and down 0.1 at a time, and that's when people start getting lower. And now folk can get off +2 now and never have broken par. It seems great.
It just doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't make any sense at all.
Not at all.
And then you're playing yourself.
There's still a lot of good players there.
You're playing yourself down, Donald. But I had a wee look on various places to spy on you, and I noticed you've played some pretty big events yourself. So do you want to talk about some of those experiences? I'd love to hear about
that. When you played in the Tartan Tour back in the day, the top 15, I think it was, get invites to play in the Johnny Walker at Eagles. So I managed to qualify for that 2 or 3 times.
Brilliant.
And I made the cut once. But that's that was the kind of level I was at. Getting into that tournament, it was to try and make the cut.
Yeah.
You're playing in the Tartan Tour and you're hoping you can get in amongst it and try and win something, but suddenly stepping up to that level, and that was maybe my poor mindset at the time, but it was to try and make the cut, and I managed to achieve that 1 year, which I was quite chuffed with. But when you're playing it, even at that level back in the day, the standard was just so much higher, and I knew that. I can remember the year I made the cut, I played with Malcolm Mackenzie in the 3rd round. And no disrespect to Malcolm Mackenzie, he's played 500 European Tour events, but you could very much have classed him as a journeyman golf pro. And I played with him and we were playing away fine. And then eventually we got to the 14th, which was a par 3 at the time. And it was into the wind. It was a kind of cold, dreary Saturday morning at Gleneagles. And the pin was just over the green. And I thought, I'm going to have to jump at a 4-iron and try and hit it as high as I can. Try and get it to land soft, and he just kind of punched this wee 6-iron, and I thought, I can't do that. And he's nobody. Pierre Folke shot 63 with a penalty shot, which was 10 under at the time. And I'm going, you know how you go around, you play around in your head before you go to an event, and you think, I could do that there, and I could do that there. That could never have come up with 63. just ridiculous. Another year I played in it. The 12th was a par 5, and I hit a nice tee shot. I hit a 6-iron to lay up short of the bunker, and I hit a 9-iron onto the green. And I'm watching it on TV in the afternoon, and Paul Casey hit a driver and a 9-iron onto the green.
Wow.
So you're wasting your time here. Better stick to the teaching.
I remember Ian Woosnam. I think he won it the year I'm thinking of the Scottish Open round Gleneagles, and it was on 18 on the King's Course. There was a bunker at whatever yardage, and they were all saying, nobody can get past this, nobody can get past it. And I remember Woosnam was the only guy in the whole field that basically took it, I think it was like a Marmon persimmon, and just launched it right over the top. And you were like, wow, that's incredible. And the commentators were blown away that it was doing it then.
Just something different. That was back in the day, a bloody Marmon persimmon.
Aye.
You're showing your age there, Ross.
Yeah, well, I've used persimmon, Donald. I've used John Letters and all that.
Grey there, right enough.
Yeah, steel shafted clubs for drivers, eh? That'll never catch on.
I think I hit it further back then than I do now.
Well, one of the things I remember from my youth
not necessarily hitting it further, but it felt like the golf courses were drier back then in the summer. You'd get a lot of run. Where I played at Covell Park, it was, in the summer, the place, you could literally hit a sand wedge from 150 yards when you're 15 because it would bounce and run about 60 yards. You couldn't stop the ball, but nowadays, it just seems to be it's quite wet all the time.
Nah, I definitely, I've got nothing out of new technology. I need to change my technique, to be fair, but I don't practice enough to do that. I still squeeze the ball too much, and so it spins far too much. And it seemed to work with the old ball. I could get it out there the same distance as everybody else. I was never long, but I wasn't short. But now I'm 100 yards behind the young guys these days. And I'm talking 100 yards. That's not exaggerating. It's just mental.
Well, I've seen Andy on Instagram, and I haven't seen Peter, obviously, with his injury, or not injury, but getting his hip done. But Andy hits the ball just a ridiculous length. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous. He should play golf, Andy. He should play golf, but he just puts himself down. Although I would play him for money still.
Well, you maybe be able to play him left-handed now that he's going to cut over.
Aye, well, so he says. He's maybe better trying to master it right-handed first, to be fair.
So go back to Wellsgreen. I mean, you've been there. That's what, almost 30 years you've been there. So
30 years next year. I mean, I thought they'd have found me out by now, to be honest.
I'm sure you're doing all right. You've coached some very good players, but I'd love you to talk just about your coaching style, Donald, and your sort of philosophy on somebody coming along that's looking for a lesson. What kind of things do you look for?
My coaching style is very, very simple. I work in the basics all the time, and I know people don't come back to me sometimes because I've stuck to the basics. Right? It doesn't matter what you're doing. And it's one of my lines I use with so many of my new pupils. I ask them what they do for a living, and tell them it doesn't matter what you're doing. If the setup of your business isn't right, it doesn't work. And it's the same with your golf swing. Right? Everybody wants to look in YouTube and they're looking at the secret of the golf swing and stuff like that. There's no secrets. If you're not set up properly, it's going to be shit. Right? The best players in the world all stand up to it pretty good. There's obviously the few exceptions, but they've all got their basics pretty solid first, and you've got to do that before you do anything else. And then I work on path and club face. Right?
Okay.
Two most important things. If you can get the path right and your club face kind of matched up to pretty close to it and get the club face square, you can play golf. And then everything after that's a bonus.
See that John Jacobs and Butch Harmon sort of guy. That's what Butch talks about all the time.
Yeah, if you can get that bit right, you can get the ball starting near you, right, where your starting point should be. You've got a chance. But everybody wants to come in and hit it 350 yards. They can't hit a wedge onto a green, but they want to hit it 350 yards with a driver. You've got to learn to walk before you start running and start thinking about these guys in tour. But that's the way golf's going. Here at the range, we've got lots and lots of golfers. They'll probably never be in a golf course.
Seriously?
They want to stand up here and belt it as far as they can. That's what they enjoy doing.
Wow.
So if that's what they want to do, that's fine. And you see a lot of golf clubs struggling that these days, but driving ranges are busy.
I know that is interesting. Some of the ranges I go to down here in England, you can turn up, and you wouldn't say it's necessarily a busy time. I don't mean what you'd think is a peak time, and you're going, wait a minute, there's 20 people in the queue here. This is unbelievable. It's crazy.
And a lot of them might not ever be in a golf course.
Yeah.
But they're playing virtual golf, they're playing long drive, they're playing points games. Look at Top Golf.
I know.
It's not exactly golf. It's no golf. I mean, you don't even take your own golf clubs.
No.
But they're busy.
Yeah.
They're busy. So if you can get some of these guys into the sport, all well and good.
Absolutely. And then I was going to ask you about how it went with Peter. You guys joke about this all the time on the podcast, but I mean, what was it like coaching with Peter?
That was a pain in the arse. Sorry, he was. Oh, that more obstinate man you've never met in your life. He's so stubborn. Peter was hard work to teach. Hard work. We had lots of fallouts. Well, not fallouts because we were good mates, but in the coach, he they sacked me 3 times or something like that, and went
Sacked
to
you
other
3
people.
times? Wow.
Yeah. But I always knew when it was coming. When, standing in the range in Holland or something like that, and he's starting asking his caddy what he's doing. I thought, oh. And so you get a phone call on the way back, and before you got on the plane, I think we need to try something different.
So you were
back.
You were going out to the tour events with him as well?
Yeah, I went to a few tour events. With that, he would obviously send some stuff and video at times, but other times we would go out if he'd been away for a wee while. You get to Spain or France or Holland or whatever it was. Tend to do the slightly closer ones or Wales and stuff like that. So that was great fun for me, seeing that side of it. I can remember once being at Wentworth with him, and he's standing the practice ground. Next thing, Ernie Els comes up on his left-hand side, and then Olazabal comes up and he's on his right-hand side, and 5 minutes later Pete says, "How's that look?" And I said, oh sorry, I don't know, I was watching these guys. Not watching you, Ernie Els is standing next to you.
Brilliant. One experience, that's awesome.
Yeah, Pete striked it in these days. Pete was a striker and could hit it as good as a lot of these guys out there. Right? He was very, very, very good on the range.
Yeah, and you see that
was a good experience, and you realise how good so many of these guys are out there that don't make it.
Exactly. I've been fortunate enough to caddy for one of the guys I know on a couple of tour events, and I mean that experience, first of all, caddying was phenomenal, but just on the range, you can throw a blanket over these guys. They're all hitting it, 3-wood 290 in the air, driver 320. It's phenomenal to watch. There's just nothing between them.
I know, and you think what separates them in the golf course, and the short game is still so much a big part of it, but the mental side of it is huge. That's the biggest part.
Even Peter's talking about that now with his own coaching, with doing the seniors and doing some of the other pieces. He's actually listening to him.
He's come back from the dark side.
Yeah.
You could not tell him anything. And he told him how important it was in these days. And I think if he had his time again, he would have listened more and worked on that side of it. He'll admit that now.
It's probably going to help him be a really good coach as well, because he's gone through himself. He knows what it's like to have those feelings, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think all good coaches, we use that part of it during a normal lesson anyway. You don't need to sell it as a psychology lesson. You're actually doing it as you talk about it during lessons, and good coaches should do that, because the mind is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
But you could back in the day, you couldn't tell Pete that. He wouldn't listen to that. He was a stubborn man.
Brilliant. So Donald, you're one of the stars of the Talk Golf Scotland podcast, and I had Peter on, and he was brilliant. So. But I mean, you guys have done, I'm going to say it must be nearly 400 podcasts now. So how's that been for you? What's the experience been like?
I never listened to them, so I don't know. The podcast, it's good. Stuart's the driving force behind it, very much so. If Stuart's not there, we're not doing it. Very much. He does all the hard work, and then we just add our tuppence worth to it. So it's been good fun. It's not something I ever saw myself doing. Not particularly comfortable like doing this. The pod I'm quite used to now, because we're talking just a bit, the stuff, and we argue back and forward. I'm talking about myself, I hate. But I suppose we've got used to it. We've been doing it for 6 years now. So it's not a chore. Put it that way. It's not a chore. It's good fun. And as Pete often says, we enjoy it an awful lot more when we've got a wee argument going. Because he's not the most difficult to get to change his mind.
No, Peter does like arguing with himself, and he actually on the pod he argued with himself.
He done it today.
Yeah.
It's been good fun. It's been good fun, and we've done it kind of through the COVID period as well, which kept us going, gave us something to do. That's been good. It's been good. I just wish we could make some money out of it now.
Oh, I'm sure you guys could. I mean, you're honestly very, very good. But you're doing like, I don't know, when was the last time you did your YouTube ventures? When were you last out on the golf course?
It was last year. We did, the four of us never had a game of golf this year. It's
Wow.
just been busy, and we've still got a couple of videos still to come out from last year. So once we get them out, hopefully we'll get a few done next year. But it's good to get on the golf course. But playing golf like that is very difficult because you hit a shot and then you're running to get your phone out to video the next guy hitting a shot. So fortunately, we're all quite happy to make a fool of ourselves. Because it's very difficult to concentrate in your golf, but it's good fun. But Stuart does the editing on it, and that's what actually makes the videos. So they're good. They're good fun. We've had a lot of good feedback for them.
Yeah, no, they're great. I mean, it's great fun to watch you guys. So then, where do you play your golf most at the moment, Donald? Is it Ladybank? I hear you talking about Ladybank a lot.
Yeah, I'm a member at Ladybank. See, I worked there from 90 to 97, and I love the golf course. The golf course is great fun. Never ever get fed up playing it. It's always in good nick. It's an easy walk, especially as you get older. It's a nice easy walk. It's nice and flat. You never come off mucky or anything like that. And there's plenty of variety in the golf course. You've got to hit the golf course. I'm still very much a shaper of the golf ball because I had it so short these days. So try and turn it round the corners. These young guys hit it over the corners. So you've got to hit the ball both ways, which makes it great fun for me to play. So thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I grew up obviously playing Brassy. I still love links golf, but Ladybank's I've got a wee soft spot for Ladybank.
And it's funny, living in the southeast of England, everybody thinks I played loads of links golf when I was a kid, and I'm like, never played links golf till I was about 19. Are you kidding me?
Everybody says, Scotland for golf courses. England's got loads of good golf courses as well. The whole of Britain's got loads of good golf courses. You go to Ireland, fantastic golf courses.
Yeah.
Fife, they talk about Fife for links golf courses. The golf courses in Ayrshire are way better than the links golf courses in Fife.
There's plenty of them as well. I mean, I haven't played Royal Troon, but I've played Wellsgreen and Darley, and they're great fun. They're brilliant golf courses.
Absolutely municipal golf courses. But you can play from Irvine into Ayr just about on links golf courses, just right along the coast. You go from Bogside to Glasgow Gales to Western onto Brassy or Dundonald, then Brassy over to the Darley, Lochgreen onto Royal Troon onto Prestwick. On a golf course all the way along that strip, having to hit over a road at one point, and that's about it.
I know.
It's mental.
I have to say my favourite course is actually Turnberry. I was lucky enough to play Turnberry Ales as it was maybe 20 years ago, and just got really lucky in the middle of winter between Christmas and New Year, and went down. It was like 6 Celsius, and everywhere else in Scotland was like -4. I went out, and it was just phenomenal. It's some place.
Nah, Turnberry's awesome, and I fortunately I played Turnberry last year. I'd played it obviously growing up in Ayrshire. I'd played it a few times, and it was my favourite of the championship golf courses. And then you heard Trump's taking over and he's changing it, and you thought, oh Christ, he's going to knacker it. And everybody to a man that had played it has said it's better. And then I played it and I was blown away. It's just fantastic.
And that's some feat, right? To not F it up first and then make it better is just incredible, because it was already amazing.
Exactly. You think, can you make changes like that and make it better? But he has. And I have to say, his course in Aberdeen, I think, is the most spectacular course I've played.
I've never been lucky enough to get up there, but I'd love to go and play it for sure. I've heard great stories.
Just get the wow factor. You walk up to the first tee and you go, wow. And you just about do that in every single tee.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Turnberry overall is maybe a slightly better golf course for the purist, but if you're wanting the wow factor, Trump International is ahead of it. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to get into I was going to call it the back nine, but we've got a few questions to close off, Donald. Mm-hmm. And you might have talked about the second one, but I'll start with the first one. Who's your favourite golfer?
It was Seve back in the day, I suppose. And anybody in my era would probably say Seve. Seve
And
was the
mine.
man. As he just had that wee bit of charisma. Obviously, all his famous stuff. But yeah, he was just special. Ernie, I was a big fan of Ernie because of his golf swing as well.
Yeah.
Just so simple. He looked as though he hit a bad shot now and again because he was fed up hitting it so good.
I know.
But Seve was definitely the inspiration back in the day.
Yeah, and it was certainly mine. It was because of watching him win the Open, I actually started playing golf properly. So
yeah. And you can see, latterly in his career, when he couldn't hit it in a fairway, you wonder how much what was going on in his head at that point in time. As far as his illness was concerned, was affecting all that.
It must have been.
You put a tree in front of him and he could wrap it around the tree and onto the middle of a green or something like that, but he couldn't see just a normal straight shot. And I kind of use that in my coaching a wee bit, just telling people to picture a shot, and that's what Seve was always very, very good at, seeing the things that were different, but hitting a straight shot was impossible for him.
Yeah, and I listened to a few podcasts, and actually one of them's a guy called Carl Morris, who's like a performance coach.
Psychologist, yeah.
And I don't know if it's him, but it's certainly heard on his podcast, like what makes it, does the swing make the shot, does the shot make the swing? And it's always an interesting way to think about it, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd use that one all the time. And how the path changes because of the shot you're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And tell them, what did you try and change the path, or did you just do that because of the shot you were hitting?
Exactly.
And we're all different. Some people do try and change it one way, and other people do it the other way. And there's no rights or wrongs.
No.
It's just trying to get into the person's head and see how they think. And then working with that, whether they're a visual thinker or whether they're a technical thinker. And everybody's different in that respect.
Absolutely. So we'll go to favourite golf course. You might have hit on this already, but what's your favourite golf course, Donald?
It's a tough one, that, isn't it?
It is, aye. That's when you play in Scotland.
Ladybank's one of my favourites. I would say, as I said, mentioned Trump International. One of my favourite golf courses, I don't know where you've played it, is Kilspindie. Have you ever played Kilspindie?
No, I've heard it's very good though.
And I know the boys in the pod will slag me to death for this because it's I don't know what length it is, 5,500 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just brilliant fun. And when we first started playing it was the kind of end of season, the autumn classic, they used to call it, and the assistance events when I was doing my training. And it was always in October and it'd be windy, but it's just the best fun. And anybody that played it back then, they still love it. It's great. But say it's short, you've got drivable par fours, you'll get, par five, you'll get if you get the first 4 holes, or the first a par 3, and then you get 3 holes into the wind. I mean, if you get them into the wind, it's just plays ridiculously long. In fact, I can remember playing in the Autumn Classic, and I was playing. Funny enough, I was actually playing with Paul Laurie and one of my best mates at the time, Ross Aiken, and we were playing this hole. I think we were playing the 6th or the 12th hole or something like that. We were downwind. That was a drivable 4, and the 6th was a drivable 4 the opposite direction. But that day it wasn't drivable. And watching this boy, and he's hitting a 6 iron for his second shot. And you see him watching it, and then he's looking, and he's suddenly looking over his head, and he hit it 30 yards behind him. And to be fair, wind did stop play that day, but the boy had hit a good shot. He just got it up in the air, and it just suddenly went batter. But it's that type of golf course, just great fun, great fun, and that's what golf should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Golf should be good fun, Everybody, we talk about championship golf courses. I know I certainly don't want to go and play a golf course at 7,500 yards anymore. That's no fun hitting driver woods into par 4s all day long. You want to get wedges in your hands, and that's what your club golfer wants to do, so that they can come off feeling quite good about themselves, have enjoyed their game. Everybody coming in, as opposed to walking into the clubhouse knackered and moaning about how tough it was. There's room for both types of golf course.
No, absolutely. If you look at a place like Gullin, I mean, Gullin 1 and 2 are awesome golf courses, but Gullin 3 is great fun. It's an absolutely brilliant day out. The greens are always nice in the winter, and you rattle around the golf course and you've got really nice views and just a lot of fun when you're out there. It's superb.
It's everybody. You know, it's like how do you describe your favourite par 3? Everybody thought it's this great wee hole.
Yeah.
Nobody says, oh, it's that great 240-yard par 3. That wee hole, right? The postage stamp, just a perfect example. Just
Absolutely.
a great fun golf hole that everybody that plays golf is capable of reaching and hitting it on the green, no bother, but not very easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll hit, and we'll take Augusta out of this one, Donald, but of course you'd love to play, but you haven't played it yet. Where would you love to play?
Yeah, well, you've taken away my answer there, so
I know.
that's the obvious one. Hey, I would probably Sawgrass.
Oh, there's
Yeah, Sawgrass. Just another one you've seen in the telly for years. You know all the holes. You know, you've heard us talking about the pod about, you know, course tour events. We'll enjoy tour events on courses that we know.
Yeah.
Because you know what holes are coming up, and Sawgrass would be a good example of that. And at least Sawgrass is accessible. You can go and pay a silly green fee and play at Sawgrass if you want. So Sawgrass, I mean, we'd all like to stand up in that 17th and, you know, see how many balls can hit the water.
Keep it dry.
Exactly. Aye. So Sawgrass would possibly be that. Loch Lomond, I've been lucky enough to play Loch Lomond before, and Loch Lomond's special. That's really special. I love it. I'd love to play it more often, but Sawgrass, yeah, I would say is the one.
Superb. Okay, this is I don't know where this will go, but what's the best advice you've had related to golf?
Yeah, I've been thinking that. I can't think of an answer. Enjoy it. You know,
that's good advice.
It's true. Yeah, and we were talking on the pod this morning about Tyrrell Hatton, you know, and the way you can go to Matt Wallace, and we're kind of divided in our opinions and some of these guys. But yeah, just go and enjoy it. It'll be a long time when you can't play.
I think it's interesting you're saying that though. Matt Wallace recently, I've noticed a big change in him. He's really approachable on the golf course. He's doing a lot of these on-course interviews, and he's sort of recognising in himself that, you know, he's not always getting it right. So that's been really good to see, and you can see the difference in his golf. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I say just enjoy what you're doing. You know, you know, it's well documented. I had a cancer scare a few years ago there, 5 years ago, and thankfully I'm completely cancer free now. But I was given 6 months to live, you know, and you know, folks said, "Oh, how did you handle that?" And I said, "Well, I thought if that's all the time I've got left, I might as well enjoy myself."
Yeah.
so that's like that. You know, we partied for 6 months, right? And still here. Through I'm not a conventional way of curing it, but still here. So I've continued to enjoy myself because of that. And my golf's pretty shit these days in comparison to what it used to be. But I still go out and just try and enjoy it. You know?
Yeah, and I think, you know, you talked about that in the pod, Donald. I mean, you're a walking miracle essentially, and you're going on holidays all the time, and it's a sort of joke on the pod about you being on holiday, but I mean, what else are you going to do with life? It's brilliant.
Exactly. You know, that's because these boys don't know how to enjoy themselves. That's all it is. They're jealous. I go on holiday twice a year or something like that. It's not exactly. I'm not away every fortnight.
They make it out as if you're away every 2 weeks. It's hilarious.
I know. They say they're just jealous. They don't know how to enjoy themselves. They've still got young kids. My kids are all grown up, so I can go away without them and stuff like that. It's absolutely fine now. But that's what life's for living. But your golf. I used to get upset in the golf course as well and get angry in the golf course and that. And I don't anymore. I don't know whether it's just your expectations change as you get older as well.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favourite sayings is the older I get, the better I used to be. You know? And it's so true because you can only remember the good stuff you played in years gone by, but you played shit back in these days as well. But you tend to forget that.
Yeah.
So but you should concentrate on the good stuff. You know, I played a couple of seniors events this year, and my golf was still right, but I managed to win one. I tied first in the first one. There wasn't that many playing, but you can only beat the people you're playing against. So I thought, oh, maybe you can play again. And then I played the second one, and I finished second last. You know, but that's golf down to a tee, and it probably was back in the day when you were playing good. You had some good days, and then you would throw in a really bad score.
Well, I can listen. I think was it this? No, it was either this year or last year. I know on my golf handicap record, back to back, I've got a 92 followed by a 71 scratch.
There you go. What do you play off, Ross?
I play off 2 now.
Right, so that's 10 back in the old day.
That's 10 back in the day, aye. Yeah.
I know, but I can enjoy it. Right? But listen, how we play golf now isn't it going to change our life or our lifestyle? So just enjoy it. You're out there playing with your pals. You know, I've resisted golf holidays for years with my pals, and we went away to Turkey in May this year, and we had an absolute ball.
Wow.
But I can go there just and enjoy the golf now. And,
Yeah.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. So
yeah, it's interesting.
And I enjoy all the time you've got, because you're generally out there with your mates doing it. So
Absolutely.
enjoy it.
There's a guy I know called Jamie Edwards. He's another performance coach sort of guy, and I went to a session with him. God, it must be it's coming up in 25 years ago, which is crazy in itself. But it was like a group session, one of these things in Dalmahoy Hotel. Scott Dixon had arranged with Jamie, and it was really interesting. He was just saying that people used to talk about concentrating for 4 hours and all this kind of stuff in 5 hours. You've just got to be in the zone. And Jamie was like, no, you need to concentrate for about 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds while you're getting ready for your shot and hitting your shot. He said, you're out in a golf course. Look at this place. And Dalmahoy is a lovely place. Have a look around. Have you ever noticed the nature you're in? Deers running past, all the beautiful trees in it. I must admit, I came away from that session thinking, my head is broken. Why am I getting so upset about golf? It's crazy.
Switch on and switch off.
Aye, literally.
That's it. I concentrate for the shot. I mean, when we used to play in lots of pro-ams, a lot of the guys hated playing pro-ams. I enjoyed playing in pro-am, because I'd have a blather with the boys in between. You know?
I think it's honestly, Donald, see the scores that you guys score in pro-ams, I can't get my head around it. And I know a few really good Scottish PGA pros, and I caddied for one of them, at the tour events. But I mean, he'll go and shoot 8, 9 under, and I'm going, how are you doing that? How are you managing to do that when you're keeping people happy, getting them around the golf course, and then you've got a 4-foot putt to shoot 9 under? How does that work?
But you're just talking about, what Jamie Edwards said, So these guys are maybe taking your mind off your golf because you're having a blather with them, finding out about them. Right? You don't have to be 100% focused. And I always thought pro-ams was a good grounding for shooting low scores, because you could be playing a pro-am and you're out late in the day and you've seen somebody's already shot 7 under.
Yeah.
So you've got to go, well, 6 under's no use today then. So suddenly if you get to 6 under, you're not thinking, oh, just hold on. You're going, well, I need to still make another 2 birdies.
Yeah.
So it did encourage you to shoot a lower score rather than thinking, oh, well, 4 under's good today.
No, absolutely.
So I say a lot of the boys used to slag it, but I thought it was a good grounding for learning how to try and score as low as you could.
The one that stands out to me, I remember going on the tour, apart from Paul Laurie, obviously, but Ali Forsyth, because I think I was about 18 or something when he was turning pro, maybe 19. And I think he went to Tartan Tour for maybe a year. Was he an assistant or something? And he shot. He was shooting ridiculous scores basically every time he picked up the newspaper. It was crazy. Every time he went out.
Right. He picked up the newspaper.
Aye.
Yeah,
showing my age as well.
No, Ali did come through it, and then he went and obviously got his tour card and done well and done that for a few years. And then used to come back and win everything when he played in Scotland.
Aye, absolutely.
But yeah, just another class. And Ali's still doing it.
I know.
He's still shooting silly numbers, and obviously Paul O'Hara's been shooting great numbers the last few years, and then Graham Robertson this year. So it's produced good golfers, the Tartan Tour, and predominantly through a lot of pro-ams.
Aye, exactly. Or even 36-hole events that Alan Tate started. I think they were really good events as well. And Paul's taken that further with his Tartan Pro Tour. I think it's Tartan Pro Tour it's called now.
Tartan Pro Tour, yeah. Yes. Which has now got 2 Challenge Tour spots for the top 2 guys. So,
which is brilliant,
yeah, it's very
good.
Very good.
We're going to hit a topic, Donald, putting. I know the guys like to get into you about your putting. So you're still using the arm lock. How's that going?
I'm on the arm lock, yeah. I probably haven't used it that many times this year because I haven't played that much. But yeah, I'm on that. You know, they slag my putting to death. Right? They really do. I'm actually a worse putter now for doing the podcast. I'm not quite as bad. I've always been dodgy. I've always been dodgy from sort of 3 feet,
right.
3 feet, 4 feet. I'm not so bad from 12 feet, but 3 feet, 4 feet. You know, the ones you should make. Yeah. I've always struggled, but I'm not quite as bad as what you think. I'm probably the best 2-putter in the world. I can 2-putt from everywhere. But I mean, I've shot some low scores through the years. You know, so I can't have been that bad all the time. Exactly.
Well, the question I was going to ask you is, given you're going arm lock, I putt left-handed. So would you be willing to give the left-handed a go at some point, or is that just madness?
No. I've tried the left-handed putt, but I've never given it a real good go to concentrate on it. But no, I don't think so. Funny enough, I play snooker and pool left-handed.
Oh, really?
So I don't know, and I prefer a left-to-right putt to a right-to-left putt.
Oh, here we go.
Something in my eyes, but no, left-handed putting. No.
I'm going to have you in left-handed putting next year, Donald. I'll come up to Wellsgreen and get you trying it.
I'll thank you if I do it and it works. But I can't. But obviously, Andy and Peter are trying their left-handed golf shots at the moment. So you never know.
I can't even putt right-handed with a broom handle. I tried it.
No. Putting is mental. Putting's completely mental.
I think that's exactly the word for it, and especially when you're talking about me. Brilliant. So, a couple of questions to close up here, Donald. Any advice for people who are looking to get into the golf industry these days? What would you say to them?
Yeah, don't do it. No, I don't know. I mean, it depends what I want to do. I mean, like the route I went into obviously was the kind of the common route back in the day. You worked in the pro shop, you done your PGA training, you done your 3 years, you became a club pro or a teaching pro. But that kind of gone really. There's no many jobs about these days.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's less club pros in the game now. As you've got guys that are taking over 3, 4, 5 businesses and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's so many different aspects to the game now. If you want to become a club manager, the PGA route's still a good way to go. You know, director of golf. It's like everything else. It's a tough industry to get into now. If you want to make money anyway. There's more and more club pros leaving the game and getting their amateur status back. So I think you need to be kind of clear and direct about what you want to do and focus on that. If that's what you want to do, if you want to be a player, you know, you've got to go through the tours to do that, but the standard is mega high. If you want to be a director of golf, go through the PGA. If you want to be a club manager, do their qualifications. Just be clear about what direction you want to go in and focus on that. But while you're doing it, enjoy it.
Absolutely. So then, Donald, just closing up, what about people if they want to get in touch with you for lessons? How would they get in touch?
Yeah, just go onto Wellsgreen website or give us a phone. Right? That's the easiest way to do it, and just ask for me. I'm available 6 days a week, more or less. So there's plenty of options there, and that's the easiest way to do it. You can book online. You can phone the shop, whatever you want. But my diary's always there.
Brilliant. Well, listen, Donald, thanks a lot for being on the show. It's great to hear all your stories, and please keep up the pod. I love listening to you guys every week.
Cheers, Ross, and thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks for listening, folks. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Donald McKay. I really do love listening to the Talk Golf podcast every time the guys put one out. In terms of my own podcast, please do remember to like, share and subscribe to the podcast, and I'll have another episode out soon. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.